Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you needed money to cover an emergency expense, but you didn't have it? If so, you want to stay tuned because in this video, I'm going to be talking all about emergency funds and how to build yours. Hey guys, it's Fo from MamaAndMoney.com where I teach you how to make and manage money to become financially free. In this video, I'm going to be talking all about a quick and easy guide to building your emergency fund. So let's hop in. So first things first, what is an emergency fund? So an emergency fund is just having money set aside to cover those unexpected expenses that happen in life. So maybe your car engine blows or you have some unexpected medical emergency that you need money for. That's what your emergency fund is for. Now, this is different from a traditional or regular savings account or sinking fund. So in a sinking fund, you would put money aside with the intent of actually spending it on something. So maybe you're saving up for the holidays and you need money to buy gifts, or maybe you're saving up to buy a car. You would put money in a sinking fund for that, so because you are expecting to actually spend that money. Whereas with an emergency fund, you really don't want to have to spend the money, but you want it to be there just in case. It is a way to hedge against financial risk and to just have money and peace of mind when you need it. Okay. So, an emergency fund is really there to have the funds available in case something happens. It's kind of like your own personal insurance plan. The money is there. If you need it, it's available for you to use. Now, of course, the question is, how much money should you have in an emergency fund? And the answer is, it absolutely varies. It varies based on how much your expenses are each month. So here's the thing. The rule of thumb is to have at least 6 to 12 months worth of your expenses saved in an emergency account. So the way that you will calculate this is you will look to see how much your expenses are each month and you will multiply that number by 6 to up to 12 months. And that will give you the rule of thumb of how much you should have saved in an emergency account. Now, obviously, you can have more or you can even have less. So if you feel like this number is a little bit out of reach at the moment, but you still want to have some money available, start by saving $500 or maybe even saving $1,000. That can help you in the case of an emergency event. Now, let's talk about what actually constitutes an emergency, right? You don't want to just be dipping into your savings account, getting money out because there's a Beyonce concert or there's a sale at your favorite store. That's not what the emergency fund is for. It's for things like if your car engine goes out, that will be considered an emergency. Getting a routine oil change is not an emergency, okay? Another example would be getting laid off. That would be considered an emergency where you would need to dip into your emergency fund or your savings to be able to cover those expenses until you're employed again. Going on vacation, not so much of an emergency. So you can see the difference between what's an emergency and what's not an emergency. So of course you want to know, where should you actually put your emergency savings? Where should you put your emergency fund? Now, my recommendation and a general rule of thumb for me is a high yield savings account. Now, this is typically an online savings account where you can put your money. Now, the reason that I recommend a high yield savings account is because if you're going to be saving a large sum of money, like 6 to 12 months of your expenses, you want that money to be making money for you. So a high yield savings account offers you the opportunity to earn interest on the money that's sitting in your bank account. So why not take advantage of that? Now, I would also recommend that you separate this from your checking account or whatever account that your debit card is connected to. You don't want to be able to dip into that account if you have an overdraft or if you just want to spend extra money that's not in your budget. Make sure that they are separated. Now, the thing about having an online bank account is that it may take a day or two to transfer funds. So if you know that you have to pay for something, you want to go ahead and transfer that and plan for that transfer ahead of time. Just keep it separate from your checking account so that you aren't tempted to dip into it. Only use it for those true emergency expenses. Now, there are other options that you have when it comes to a savings account. For instance, you can put money in a money market account as well. I'll leave a resource that gives you more information on those options in the description of this video. Now let's talk about actually building your emergency fund. So how do you actually get started? So first things first is you want to set a goal for how much money you want to have saved. Now I've given you a rule of thumb, but you set a goal that is in line with your own personal finances. What is the goal that you want to have saved for your emergency fund? Again, it could be 1,000, 500, whatever makes sense for you. Set that goal, because that will be the guiding light, or your goal, or the thing that we're aiming for as you're building your emergency fund. The second thing that you want to do is actually prepare by opening a savings account or money market account, or whatever vehicle you decide to use for your savings. Go ahead and open that up so that it is ready for you to start transferring money. So I have a list of different savings account options and things that you need to evaluate when you're looking at a savings account. I'll leave a link to that blog post in the description of this video for you to check out as well. The third thing that you want to do is evaluate your budget and see where you can reduce your expenses so that you can free up cash to actually put in your savings account. So look at things that you can get rid of. Maybe it's a subscription. Maybe you can, reduce the amount of times that you dine out. Whatever that you can do to reduce those expenses to free up cash, use that money to put into your savings account. So evaluate your budget and see where you can find extra cash. The next thing that you want to do is actually automate those transfers into the savings account that you opened up. So one thing that I recommend and that I did pretty early on was I actually had my paycheck split to deposit in two different accounts. So part of it, the majority of it, went into my checking account, which is where I handled my day-to-day expenses and other things. And then a portion of it went to my savings account. So it was already in my emergency fund. I didn't even see it. So it was out of sight, out of mind. It was already taken care of. So I would definitely recommend, if you have direct deposit, to put a percentage of that money into a savings account so that money can go ahead and be saved and you don't have to worry about transferring it or thinking about it at all. So automate your savings so that the money goes directly into your savings account and your emergency fund so that you don't have to think about it. And then the next step is to find ways to generate cash to put into that emergency fund. So perhaps it's going to be selling some things around the house. Maybe it's opening an online business, starting a side hustle, whatever it is. Find creative ways to come up with extra cash that you can put into your savings account so that you can reach your goal faster. And then once you've reached your goal, you may consider setting a new goal, a higher goal, to increase that savings amount. Whatever it is, find creative ways to reach that goal so that you have the money and the peace of mind that comes with knowing that in case something happens, you are financially set and able to address it. All right, guys. Hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, give it a thumbs up and share. And if you want more mama and money tips, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.